Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the last class, we discussed the concept of elasticity, the concept of the price elasticity of demand, and we learned how to calculate the price elasticity of demand. Today, inshallah, we're going to talk about the price elasticity of demand or other calculations of the price elasticity of demand. And as you know, or as you remember, that we started an exercise. So let's start or to complete the exercise. Point price quantity demanded. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. The price 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. The quantity demanded is 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. The question number 1 is derive or draw the demand curve. The price quantity demanded. The price is 2, 4, 6, 10, 12, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. At point A, the price is 10 and the quantity demanded is 40. This is point A. Point B, 9 and 50. Yes, 8. So it's 9 and 50. Point B, C, 8 and 60. 7 and 70. E, 680. 5, 90. 4, 100. If we connect these points together, we will reach to the demand curve. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Number 2 is calculate the price elasticity of demand from point A to point B. It's already calculated. And as you know that the general formula to calculate the price elasticity of demand is ED equals delta Q D over delta P times P1 over Q D1. This is the general formula to calculate the price elasticity of demand. Yes. From A to B, ED from A to B it's already calculated in the previous class or the last class. It was minus 2.25. Now let's calculate, or also we have calculated the price elasticity demand from point B to point C. ED from point B to C. It's already calculated. It's equal minus 1.3 Number 3, calculate the price elasticity of demand from point C to D. From C to D, ED equals delta QD equals QD2 minus QD1 over P2 minus P1 times P1 over QD1. From C to D, this is price 1, price 2, QD1, QD2. So ED equals QD2 minus QD1, 70 minus 60 over P2 minus 7 minus 8 times P1, 8 over 60 equals 10 over minus 1 times 8 over 60 equals minus 0.1.3. هذه اللي هي from C to D. Now from D to E, from D to E, ED from point D to E, ED equals, in this case, this would be the price 1 from D to E. This would be the price 1, price 2, QD1, QD2. After the calculation, ED equals minus 1. Right? Okay. Now, from A to F, from A to F, ED from point E to F. After the calculations, ED equals 0.75 minus. You have to apply directly in this formula, right? Okay, but in order to keep our time, or to save our time, we have to write the price elasticity of demand without calculations. Okay. So as you see, a movement from A to B, then from B to C, C to D, E to F, the price elasticity of demand would what? Would decline. So the general theory is when the price declined, the demand would be less elastic, right? So at point D, the demand is a unitary elastic, equals minus 1. The demand curve has two parts. The first one is the left part, or the left side, and the second one is the right side. At the left side, the demand curve is elastic, yes, elastic. And at the right hand, or the right side, it would be inelastic, yes. At the elastic part, elasticity of demand, or the price elasticity of demand, is larger than 1, or the absolute value of the price elasticity of demand is greater than 1. At this point from A to D, the absolute value of AD is larger than 1, so it would be elastic. At this part, from D to G, it would be, or the absolute value of AD is less than or smaller than 1, so it would be inelastic, right? It would be inelastic. ED is smaller than 1, so it would be inelastic demand. I have another question. As you know that we calculated the price elasticity of demand from point A to F. From A to F, so this is from A to F, this is price 1, price 2, QD1, QD2. The price elasticity of demand from A to F equals 0 minus 0.75, right? Let's calculate the price elasticity of demand from point F to E. So we will start from point F to E. So the price ED from F to E, from point F to point E. In this case, this would be price 1 and this would be price 2. QD1, QD2. 55, yes. A equals minus 0.55. It's not, yes, it has, we have a problem. To solve this problem, the economists developed the midpoint formula, another formula in order to solve this problem. Because as you know, that we have calculated, or we calculated the price elasticity demand from A to F, the result would be or equals minus 0.75, from F to E minus 0.55. So to solve this problem, we have another formula. It's called the midpoint formula, right? So let's use the midpoint formula and then we will calculate the price elasticity of demand from point E to F, and then from F to E. We have to reach the same result, right? So the midpoint formula is ED. It's called the midpoint formula. Midpoint formula to calculate the price elasticity of demand. ED equals delta QD over delta P times P1 plus P2 over QD1 plus QD2. So let's calculate the price elasticity of demand from point A to F. From A to F. From A to F, this is P1, P2, QD1, QD2. So AD equals delta QD, QD2 minus QD1 over P2 minus P1 times P1 plus P2 over QD1 plus QD2. In this case, AD from the price elasticity of demand from point E to F. E to F equals QD2 90 minus 80 over 5 minus 6 times P1 plus P2, 6 plus 5 over 80 plus 90. Sorry? 0.64. 0.64. Let's calculate the price elasticity of demand from point F to E. ED from point F to E. In this case, the price at F would be price 1 and this would be price 2. QD1, QD2. Substitution. ED equals QD2 80 minus 90 over P2 6 5 times 5 no 5 plus 6 over 90 plus 80. ED equals the same result, minus 0.64. So if we use the midpoint formula to calculate the price elasticity of demand along the same demand curve from E to F, F to E, in this case we will reach with the same result, right? Okay. Let's go to analyze the relationship between the price elasticity of demand and the total revenue. The price elasticity of demand and total revenue. Total revenue and the price elasticity of demand. Total revenue means al-irad al-kulli. Total revenue or TR equals the price times a quantity sold. P, price, times the quantity sold. Right? Okay. So TR equals P times Q. The question is, suppose that you are the producer, what is the rational decision to increase your total revenue if your demand or the demand for your product is elastic or inelastic? Yes.
Increase my total revenues if the demand is inelastic, increase prices.
Okay.
Another case, if you want to increase total revenues, if the demand
is elastic,
decline the prices
in order to increase the total revenue. Yes. In general, the sellers or the producers try to increase their total revenue because the increasing of total revenue leads to increasing their profits. So, in general, the producers aim at increasing the total revenue because the increasing of total revenue leads to increasing their profits. So one of the main goals or objectives for the producers is to increase the total revenue. The question is, when the demand is inelastic, the price, quantity demanded, and this is the demand curve, inelastic demand curve. This is point A, point B. This is price 1, price 2, QD1, QD2. As you see, the demand curve is inelastic. Inelastic means the good is very important for the consumer. It's not easy to give up it, and there are no alternatives or substitutes for this good, like the demand for telecommunication services in Palestine, or the demand for flour. Yes. If the total revenue, or as you know, that total revenue equals price times quantities. In this case, if the price increased by 10%, the quantity demanded would decline with a smaller amount. Maybe we have a decreasing by 2 or 3%. So when the demand is inelastic and the producer decided to increase the prices by 10%. In this case, the quantity demanded would decline by 2%. So, as you see, the magnitude effect or the effect of or the percentage change in the prices is larger than the percentage change in the quantity demanded. So, total revenue would increase. No, I don't know. We have to calculate it later. Okay? But in general, if the percentage change in the price is larger than the percentage change in the quantity demanded, or the percentage increasing of prices is larger than the percentage of declining in the quantity demanded, in this case, total revenue would increase. So if the demand is inelastic, as you see, if the producer increases the prices, the total revenue would increase, and vice versa. If the producer, when demand is inelastic, if the producer declined the prices or decreased the prices by 10%, the quantity demanded would increase with this by smaller amount, was with 2%, suppose. Increasing. In this case, the percentage of decreasing in the prices is larger than or greater than the percentage of increasing the quantity demanded, so the total revenue would decline. So the rational decision is to increase the prices in order to increase the total revenue if the demand is inelastic. So if the demand is inelastic, I advise the producer to increase the prices in order to increase the total revenue. Right? Okay. If the demand is elastic, like the demand for Pepsi or the demand for banana or something else. The demand is elastic. A, B, price 1, price 2, QD1, QD2. In this case, demand is elastic. Demand is elastic means the good has many alternatives or substitutes. It's easy to give up the product, and what? What else?
Many alternatives.
Yes, it has many alternatives, and it's easy, and it's not important for the consumer, right? Yes, it's easy to give up it. So when the demand is elastic, the increasing of the prices by 10% leads to a larger decreasing in the quantity demanded, maybe 25, 30%, or 30%, right? So as you see, in this case, the demand is elastic. TR equals P times Q. In this case, the price is increased by 10%, positive. The quantity demanded declined by 30%. As you see, the percentage increasing the prices is smaller than the percentage declining in the quantity demanded. So the final effect would be a declining in total revenue, right? And vice versa. If the prices declined, the quantity demanded would increase. So TR equals P times Q. If the price declined by 10%, quantity demanded increased by 30%. In this case, total revenue would what? Would increase. Yes. So, when the demand for a product or the good is elastic, I advise the producer to decrease the prices in order to increase the total revenue. Right? So the rational decision is to decrease the prices when the demand is elastic. Right? Okay. The third case, when the demand is a unitary elastic. When demand is a unitary elastic, like the demand for beef. D, A, B, price 1, price 2, QD1, QD2. Increasing the prices by 10% leads to the same declining and the quantity demanded, declining by 10%. So let's come back to the total revenue. Total revenue equals prices times quantity. If the price increased by 10%, quantity demanded declined by 10%, there is no change on the total revenue or in the total revenue. No change. And vice versa. If the prices declined by 10%, the quantity demanded would increase by 10%, total revenue would not change. Right? Yes. Yes.
And the producer want to increase his profit and total revenue. What he do in this case?
As we mentioned that if the price or if the demand is a unitary, right? And yes, I completely agree with your question, but I will come back to the analysis. When the demand is a unitary elastic, increasing the prices leads to the same reduction in the quantity demanded, so there's no change in total revenue. It's not easy to increase the profits or the total revenue in this case. It's fixed or constant. Right? Okay. Because if he decided to increase the prices, total revenue would be constant. If he decided to decline the prices, the total revenue would be constant. So it's not easy to increase the total revenue. Maybe he can work on the reduction of the total cost, not the total revenue, to increasing the total revenue in order to maximize the profits. Okay? Right. The case number 4, if the demand is perfectly inelastic. Like the demand for insulin. This is D, A, B, P1, P2, if the price increased by 10%, there is no change in the quantity demanded, because when the demand is perfectly inelastic, in this case, the product is very important for the consumer. It's not easy. It's impossible to give up it, and there is no alternative, like the demand for insulin for the diabetic patients. So, increasing the prices by 10%, there is no reduction in the quantity demanded, so the total revenue would increase by the same amount of increasing the prices. Right? So the rational decision for the producer is to increase the prices in order to increase the total revenue. Right? Okay. Let's go to the practical exercises related to the total revenue and elasticity. The price prices, quantities, total revenue. The price is 5, 6, 110, 100. The question is, calculate the total revenue and explain the relationship between the prices and the total revenue and the price elasticity of demand. Number 1, calculate the total revenue and the price elasticity of demand. TR1 equals P times Q. P1 times Q1. So TR1 equals 5 times 110 equals 550. Right? TR2 equals
650.
Yes, 6 times 100 equals 600. So as you see, when the producer or the seller decided to increase the prices from 5 to 6, the total revenue increased. So the demand is what? Yes, thank you. The demand is inelastic. Because as you know, when the demand is inelastic, increasing the prices leads to increasing of total revenue. Right? Right. Calculate the price elasticity of demand using the midpoint formula. I think it's easy. ED equals delta Q D over delta P times P1 plus P2 over Q D1 plus Q D2. Without calculations equals minus half. Direct substitution. So the demand is inelastic, right? Hayu, QD2 minus QD1 over P2 minus P1 times summation of the prices over the summation of the quantity demanded. على طول بتطلع لنا minus half, right? So the demand is, or the absolute value of the price elasticity of demand is smaller than 1, so the demand is inelastic. The second example. TR, the prices, or the prices in quantities. Price, quantity, total revenue. 5, 6, 130, 100. Calculate the total revenue and explain the relationship between the prices and total revenue, as well as explain the type of elasticity. Is it, or the demand is elastic or inelastic, perfectly inelastic, or unitary. TR1 equals P1 times Q1. TR1 equals 5 times 130 equals 650. And no, 600. Oh, yes, 650. 6 times 100, 600. So as you see, when the price increased from 5 to 6, the total revenue declined from 650 to 600, so the demand is elastic. Thank you. So, when the price increased, the total revenue declined, so the demand is elastic. To make sure, let's calculate the price elasticity of demand in this case using the midpoint formula. ED equals QD2 minus QD1 over P2 minus P1 times summation of the prices over summation of the quantity demanded. ED in this case equals minus 1.4. By using the midpoint formula, right? The last example. Prices, quantities, and total revenue. P, Q, total revenue. 5, 6, 120, 100. Total revenue 1 equals price 1 times quantity 600. TR2 600 times 6 times 100 600. There is no change. When the price increased, total revenue does not change. This means the demand would be a unitary elastic. No, yes, it's a unitary elastic. So, increasing the prices, as you see, from 5 to 6, there is no change the total revenue. No change in TR, so the demand is a unitary elastic. To make sure, you have to use the midpoint formula. ED would be minus 1. The absolute value equals 1, so it would be a unitary elastic. Right? Okay. Let's calculate the marginal revenue, or have another concept which is the marginal revenue. Marginal revenue. Marginal revenue means الإيراد الحدي. The marginal revenue اللي هو MR equals delta TR over delta Q, or it's the ratio of a change in total revenue, or the change in total revenue as a result of additional change in the quantities or the quantity sold, right? So in this example, or in the previous one, suppose this is 130. How much the total revenue was? 600. Let's calculate the marginal revenue. The marginal revenue equals delta TR means TR2 minus TR1 over a Q2 minus Q1. So this is TR1, TR2, Q1. No, we are not talking about the prices, we are talking about the quantity demanded. Q1, Q2. So the marginal revenue equals 650 over Q2 minus Q1, 100 equals قديش؟ minus 50 over minus 30 equals 1.6. It's positive. When demand, in this case, the demand is what? Increasing the prices leads to a reduction in total revenue. The demand is elastic. When the demand is elastic, the marginal revenue would be positive. MR is positive. The second case, if it was 110, 5 times 110, 550, right? This is TR1, 600. In this case, the marginal revenue equals TR2 minus TR1 over Q2 minus Q1. MR, in this case, equals 600 minus 550 over 100 equals قديش؟ اعمل calculations. minus 50 over minus 10. Yes, 50 over minus 10 minus 5. Yes. No, it would be inelastic demand. As you see, when the price increased, the total revenue increased. When the demand is inelastic, the prices increased, with total revenue increased. Right? بشكل بسيط. So, in this, when the price increased and total revenue increased, in this case the demand is inelastic. So, the marginal revenue is negative. Right? 120. In this case, the total revenue equals 600. MR equals TR2 minus TR1, 600 minus 600 over 100 minus 120 equals 0 over minus 20 equals 0. In this case, as you see, when the price increased, there's no change in total revenue. The demand is a unitary elastic, so MR equals to 0. Right? Okay, I will come back to the point which illustrates the relationship between the prices and total revenue. خلينا نعملها هان أوضح. Number one, when the demand is inelastic, unitary, elastic, increasing the prices, decreasing the prices. If demand is inelastic, increasing the prices leads to increasing total revenue. Right? And vice versa. Yes, for sure. When the prices decline, total revenue would decline. If demand is elastic, increasing the prices leads to a reduction in total revenue, and vice versa. If the price decline, the total revenue would increase. So, and if the demand is a unitary elastic, increasing the prices, there is no change in total revenue, no change in total revenue. Right? Okay. Let's go to explain or to calculate the marginal revenue, or we are going to deal with the marginal revenue with more detail, with more details. Suppose that we have the following information about the market. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Prices, quantities, total revenue, and marginal revenue. Price, Q, total revenue, marginal revenue. The prices are as follows: 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Quantity, 40, 50, 60, 70, 81.6, 90, 100, 110. Calculate the total revenue and marginal revenue and explain the relationship between the marginal revenue and the prices, and yes, when the demand is elastic, inelastic, unitary elastic, and so on, and they draw the diagram which illustrates or shows the relationship between these variables. Okay? TR at point A, P times Q, 400, 450, 480, 490, 490, 450, 400, and 330. Right? So let's calculate the marginal revenue. MR equals delta TR over delta Q. In the first case, there is no change. In the second case, TR2 minus TR1 over Q2 minus Q1. In the first case, MR1 equals delta or TR2 minus TR1 over Q2 minus Q1 equals 450 minus 400 over Q2 minus Q1, 50 minus 40 equals 50 over 10 equals 5. So it would be 5. The second case, TR2 minus TR1 over Q2 minus Q1, 3. Yes. 490 minus 480 over 10, 1. 0. 490 minus 490 over, yes. And then minus 4. No, not minus 4. 4.75. Well, 76. Minus 4.76, and then minus 5, minus 7. Right? Okay. Let's draw and analyze the relationship between the total revenue, marginal revenue, and the price elasticity of demand by using diagram. This is the total revenue curve, TR. This is the peak of total revenue. Marginal revenue, MR. And this is the demand curve. D. As we explained that the demand curve at this point is a unitary elastic, at the left side it would be elastic. Suppose this is point M. At the right side, it would be inelastic. Right? Okay. And this is the zero line. Above this line, MR is positive. At this point, MR equals 0. And below this point, it would be negative. Right? So suppose this is point K. As you see, the total revenue curve is increasing and it reached to the peak, and then it would be declining. Right? So let's analyze these two stages of the diagram. In the first case, when the total revenue increased, in this case the marginal revenue is declining and it would be positive. The demand curve in this case is elastic, right? So yes.
When the price increase, total revenue increase, if the demand will be inelastic.
Yes, yes, yes. As you see, I'm coming to this point now, but after the explanation, right? No. At this point, I will go to your point. At this point, suppose that the price is P1, right? Total revenue is at point F. If the price increased to P2, total revenue will decline, as you see. There is a declining in total revenue when the price increase to P2 at the elastic area. So as you see, when the demand is elastic, increasing the prices leads to a reduction in total revenue. Right? So if the demand is elastic, the increasing in the prices from P1 to P2, increasing the prices from P1 to P2 leads to what? A declining in total revenue from F to R. Leads to a declining in total revenue from F to R. But if the demand is inelastic at this area, suppose that the price is P3, in this case the total revenue is or equals N. If the price increase to B or P4, increasing the prices leads to increasing of total revenue when the demand is inelastic, right? N, A, B, C, C. So when the demand is inelastic, increasing the prices leads to increasing in total revenue from N to C, right? Right. Let's come back to the diagram. When the total revenue reaches to the maximum amount or to the peak, or the total revenue fixed at its peak, in this case MR is or equals 0, right? So I'll come back to your point. When the demand is inelastic, increasing the prices from P3 to P4, total revenue would what? Would increase. Yes. This leads to increasing of total revenue from N to C. Right? Okay. when the total revenue increased, and this stage, when the total revenue increased, the marginal revenue would decline and positive. The demand is what? Elastic. So, when the total revenue increased, this means, or at this stage, the demand is elastic. As you see in this diagram, the demand is elastic, and MR, the marginal revenue, is positive. Right? صح? Hey. In the second stage, when the total revenue reached to the peak, or fixed at the peak, in this case, the marginal revenue equals 0 in the last or the third stage. When the total revenue declining from C to N to another point, MR is negative and the demand is what? Inelastic. In this case, the previous one, when the total revenue reaches the maximum with the peak, the demand is a unitary elastic. Right? Okay. Let's go to another formula to calculate the marginal revenue, which is MR equals the prices times MR equals price P times 1 plus 1 over ED. Right? Suppose that the price equals 7 and the price elasticity of demand equals -2. Calculate the marginal revenue. Direct substitution. MR equals P7 times 1 plus 1 over -2. So MR equals 7 times 1, 7 plus 7 over -2. MR equals 7 minus 3.5 equals 3.5. What's the meaning of this? When the demand is elastic, -2, MR is positive. So let's come back to the diagram. This is TR. MR. This is the demand curve. -1, elastic, inelastic. And this is the total revenue curve. As you see, when the price elasticity or the demand is elastic, MR is larger than 1 or positive, right? Suppose that MR equals 0 if another exercise. If MR equals 0 and the price equals 8, calculate the price elasticity of demand. Calculate ED. MR اللي هي 0 equals the price 8 times 1 plus 1 over ED, right? 0 equals 8 times 1 8 plus 8 times 1 8 over ED. ترحيل 0 minus 8 equals 8 over ED. So minus 8 equals 8 over ED. So ED equals minus 1. 8 over minus 8. So it would be minus 1. The demand is a unitary elastic. So as you see, when the marginal revenue equals to 0 at this point, the price elasticity of the demand is a unitary elastic. Unitary. Right? Okay. If MR equals 7, if MR equals 7 and ED equals minus half, calculate the price. Sorry? Oh, yes. When MR is positive, yes, it would be elastic. Yes, thank you. So suppose this is minus 3, 0.5, right? Calculate the price. So MR minus 3 equals the price times 1 plus 1 over minus half. Minus 3 equals P times 1P plus P times 1 P over 0.5 minus. Right? So minus 3 minus P equals minus P over 0.5. تمام تمام. So minus 3 minus P equals minus 2P. Right? So minus 3 equals minus 2P plus P. So minus 3 equals minus P. So P equals 3. That's it. Minus 2P plus P minus 1P. Minus P. So minus 3 equals minus P. So P equals 3. Which one?
Minus 3 minus P equals positive P over.
Why? No, minus.
There is minus.
Positive minus. The final result is negative. Right? Okay. يعطيكم العافية. نعم.